Radio Days is a pretty decent episode of Full House. This is the fourth episode of the sixth season. This is directed by Richard Correll, and as always, there will be spoilers from now as I go through various parts of the episode and share some thoughts. There are two main parts to the episode, but we have an intro with Michelle, Becky, and Nicky and Alex. And when Becky goes to get the boys some cookies, I think, Michelle is interacting with them, and I think this might be, and I could be wrong, but I think this might be the first time the twins have acted or reacted. Michelle is asking them to point to their tongue and they're responding to her. And as I said, I could be wrong, but I feel like it's at least one of the earliest times where we see them actually responding to things that are going on around them. And it's really, really lovely to see and a rather a sweet way to start things off. So we have two parts of the narrative. Both are very good. I will talk about Joey and Jessie first, and then Stephanie, because Stephanie's part is my absolute favourite. Jessie is having an opportunity to have an interview on a radio show, and he ends up inviting Joey to join him, which seemed really lovely. But then Joey was getting all of the attention because he was really funny and he was making the radio host laugh, and Jessie was feeling a little bit left out. And then we learn earlier on in the episode that Jessie would actually really love to be a radio DJ. It's something that he really, really wants to do. And later on in the episode, he is invited to have his own slot on the radio station. Fantastic. But there's a caveat. He has to do it with Joey. And of course, he's now worrying that if he does this with Joey, he's not going to get an opportunity to actually say anything, and Joey's going to take all of the limelight. And we have this really fabulous scene where Joey and Jessie are arguing, and Michelle comes in and counts to 3 and tells them to apologise at the count of 3, which I thought was really lovely and definitely helped to highlight that they were maybe behaving a little immaturely. That's not to say Jessie is not valid in his feelings. I think it's absolutely acceptable for him to feel the way he did. But the way they handled those emotions were not exactly very mature. I liked that part of the episode. I thought it worked well. The radio station was a nice setting. And it's always nice to see Jessie and Joey working together, even if on this occasion Jessie maybe wasn't a fan of that. So a decent part of the narrative. But for me, the fun came from Stephanie and DJ and Steve. And this starts because Stephanie is writing a short story. She's writing about a potato bug, which I've never heard of before. I mean, I must have done because I've seen this episode before, but I couldn't remember it. And I learned something. I learned what a potato bug is. And Becky suggests that maybe Stephanie could write about something she knows. And it just so happens that at that moment, Steve and DJ come into the kitchen, and DJ is really annoyed because Steve gave Kathy Santoni a ride home. And I don't think there was any real suggestion that Steve was maybe cheating on DJ. I feel like he was genuinely honest in giving Kathy Santoni a lift home because she was carrying a lot of books. I genuinely believed him. But Stephanie sees this as an opportunity to write about the young and the jealous, in her words. And she starts to listen into their conversations through the door. But DJ and Steve quickly make up. And Stephanie realises that they've become really boring. So she decides to write some notes to spice things up. And Steve sees this note and thinks that DJ is cheating on him. And it very quickly spirals. But they also very quickly learn, when Danny sees Stephanie's work, that this is what has happened. So I loved the performance that followed. They decided to play a trick on Stephanie to really show her that what she did was unacceptable. You can't meddle in people's lives and with people's emotions just for the benefit of your own story. And DJ and Steve come into the kitchen, and Danny's there as well. I love that Danny was involved. It gave it something just a little bit extra, a little bit more entertaining. And Stephanie is observing all of this, of course, and DJ and Steve decide to get married. And Danny says to Steve, "What took you so long, son?" And Stephanie's face is just absolutely brilliant. I love that Danny was in on it. It was such a good idea, such a good direction. And it didn't take too long for them to tell Stephanie that they know what she did and that it was wrong. But I rather enjoyed it. I thought it worked really well. And Danny managed to convince Steve to not marry DJ right now by offering him food instead. So Steve is obviously painted in a positive light again by the end of the episode. So even if anybody did think that he was giving Kathy Santoni a lift home for the wrong reasons, which I don't ever think was the case. By the end of the episode, he is once again a positive character. So really thoroughly enjoyed that. It's a great episode. There's nothing about this that I didn't enjoy. I thought it worked really well. Personal highlights would be down at the radio station. Really thoroughly enjoyed that. And just the way Stephanie's part of the narrative unfolded. And also seeing Nicky and Alex at the beginning reacting to what Michelle was saying. Great episode. Radio Days is definitely a lot of fun and a solid episode of Full House.